Channel, Cognition, Episode 7, The Confederate Flag. And just so you know, I do write scripts for myself. I have little notes, and so if I look down, sometimes it's me trying to remember. But I'm not acting. This is me. And this is going to be really short. Why is anyone proud to wear or bear the Confederate flag? Okay? As a kid, I had a miniature version of the Dukes of Hazzard's car, the General Lee. Okay? General Lee being the commander of the Confederate Army during the Civil War. But until I was in the 5th or 6th grade, I didn't know what it stood for. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't really learn anything about the Civil War, I think, until the 5th or 6th grade. Members of my family joked about being with the KKK, and now I wonder if that wasn't a joke. I got into fights with my cousins as a kid and did not get along with several of them very well. We had differences of opinion, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't really connected to my family. I grew up in Maryland. The rest of my family was in Virginia, Tennessee, and the South. I'm the Yank. To me, The Dukes of Hazzard was a show about two brothers and a sister who were always getting into trouble and out of trouble with the local sheriff. It was funny. But when I think about it, though, now, it's not a very good message. There was zero respect for law enforcement, and now that I know what the flag stands for, even less respect for the United States. Which I think is funny now, because the people who love that show now are all the same people who are like pro the cops, and it's like everything kind of twisted around when I think about it. It's a little irony to people who say they love that show, but then the same people are some of the people like, we love the police and all the Black Lives, they have a tendency to be on the side of the cops who hurt people when they shouldn't be, maybe. Okay. Anyways, I remember watching the miniseries set during the Civil War called North and South with Patrick Swayze, and I loved it in the 80s. It came around, I think, in 1985. By then, I knew the history, but it was a show that actually showed how the North and South divided friends and families and good people. Like, there was a sense that these were, you got a sense that if I remember correctly, too, I don't think the characters in the South were really pro-slavery. They didn't, it was like, it was kind of a touching story. Ironically, John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard was one of the first people I saw in Los Angeles when I came here. I ran into him in the Grove. I was there for an event, I want to say it might have been an alumni event for my graduate school, American University, but it might have been something else, an industry thing or something. I don't go to the Grove that often to shop. It might have been, though. I might have been there to go to the bookstore. But anyways, whatever reason I was there, I walked across this red carpet to get to where I was going, and I seriously walked within a foot of him. He was standing on this red carpet, and I didn't interrupt whatever was going on, like whatever event it was a section of red carpet that was not in the center of everything. Anyways, I thought, oh, that's John Schneider, and I just kept walking. Years later, I worked on a B horror film with him involving sharks, called Shark Swarm. I did some scenes with some fake dead fish. They were like dead sharks on the beach, and we shot in Malibu. I got the sense he was not happy I was there. And people may think, well, that's crazy, Laura. This guy doesn't know you. Yeah, well, it turns out I studied with a guy named Will Wallace, who was an acting teacher here, who was in a movie, pro-life film that John Schneider did. He's Terrence Malick's stepson, and John Schneider may have known me at that point because I was antagonistic with Will Wallace, because I saw him bully someone in class, and I'm a liberal and he's not, and I've had a series of patterns of weird things where, like, I had someone ask me to do a movie, and it turns out the movie was a pro-life film, and the guy was from Texas, and it turns out it was non-union. The guy told me it was union. Like, I honestly think that Will Wallace or his friends have been intentionally trying to get me kicked out of the union because I'm a liberal from the north, and he knew I was a lawyer. I'm a decade younger than him. I came here straight out of law school, and so I'm kind of angry at him because he's known I'm a lawyer, and he knew I was good at acting, but he's of the attitude that I'm not, like, worthy of being in front of the camera because I'm not a sexy Texan or sexy woman. And if I am going to do, I should be doing faith-based stuff, because he went to SMU, and I walked away from my parents' church when I was 18, and I became, like, the agnostic, goth Brit girl who loved British rock music and hated country music. Like, I've had country music singers. It's like all of a sudden really weird. It's like all of a sudden I get kicked out of the industry, and people are harassing me and acting like I'm supposed to be like my parents. And I grew up in Maryland. I'm very northern Yank in my culture. Like, it's culture shock. People are trying to make me be a Southern woman, and I'm not a Southern woman. I wasn't raised in the South. I was born there, But I've never I've never had the same viewpoint of my parents or my family. I've never had the same political perspective or the religious perspective. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, it turns out that Schneider's very GOP and truly kind of reflects the value of the show's flag he worked on when I was a kid. It turns out also that Tom Wopat, the other half of Dukes of Hazzard, now has a record for sexual assault. Yeah, so it says something about the symbol for that show. It was so my question is, why are people now showing off the Confederate flag in states like Maine during the election? Maine, by the way, was not even in the Confederacy. The Confederacy, the South, the Mason-Dixon line is the northern border of Maryland. D.C. was where it is right now, the capital of the United States, when the Civil War happened. And the Civil War was Virginia on down. Maryland was kind of weird because it was kind of a state that was split in its loyalty. Because it was considered a southern state, but like I found out that all of my relatives on the Eastern Shore with the last name of Tull all were on the Union side. So, okay, the flag was the flag of the South that wanted to break off from the North and quit the United States to form their own country. It was not the flag of the Constitution. It is not the flag of the Founding Fathers. Historically, many of the Founding Fathers wanted to end slavery, including Jefferson, despite the fact that people out there keep saying they hate Jefferson because he owned slaves. You need to understand the entire history. You know, politics back then were politics, and people were living in a different time with different cultural perspectives and different conditions and different understandings even of people. Like sometimes people, you can learn. And I think Jefferson, through the course of his life, learned that he later in his life got involved with an African-American woman who was his sister's, who was his wife's half-sister. Half-sister. Yeah, his wife's half-sister was the African-American woman he had children with. People don't know that. So, I mean, she was family to him. The South may not like to accept this, but it was slavery that divided the North and South. I ask you, if you carry the Confederate flag, do you believe in the Constitution and America, or are you a traitor to the law of the country? I ask you also, do you honestly think that anyone wants to go back to being a slave? Do you think that? Under the law, under the South, if you had one drop of African-American blood, you were a slave. Now, considering time, considering that people have intermingled with each other for years and generations, how many pure-blood white people do you think there are in the South? Think I'm pure blood? Because people used to say that. One of my friends in college used to say, I'm a pure blood. That's what she used to call me. My friend Beth Webster used to call me that. She used to say, you're pure blood. I'm thinking, joke's on her. I'm 3% African American and 1% Jew, or 2% Jew, which is funny. But I'm 60% British and the rest Scottish, Irish, and Welsh. So anyways, this means that many in the South may have family that would be property now if they went back to being a Confederacy. Do you think that you can go back and recreate the world pre-1861 in America? Farming is mechanized. I did not understand why anything would want to... We have toilets. We have washing and drying machines. The world is not the same. And their culture is not the same. And our value system should not be the same. I understand why anyone in America would honestly want to hold the Confederate flag up as a symbol of respect. What message do you give by displaying the flag, and is it truly a message you can believe in and live with? Can you call yourself a patriot to America if you see the Confederate flag as your token of belief? Take down the flag and wake up to the real message you send with it. This is the message, okay? The message of the Confederate flag. I want to hate and abuse other people and own them. I want to go to war against the United States and do not believe in its Constitution. If that is the case, then you're a traitor. Treason is in the Constitution, and federal sentence is death or a minimum of 5 years in prison and a fine of $20,000. Now, you may not think, well, I'm just holding the flag, right? In the Constitution, it says, treason against the United States shall consist only in the leveling of war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses in the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Confederate flag was a symbol of the South, leveling war against the United States government. Now, granted, there are exceptions to this, all right? If you're in a reenactment, you like playing the Confederacy, because I don't know, you like pretending to die on the battlefield, like if you're reenacting like the Gettysburg or something, or you're in a movie set time period, you know. But to have the flag hanging up as a trophy or a proud decoration sends a really bad message about who you are as a person. I personally would want to walk the other way. Think what does it mean to you, and is it really representative of who you are? And if you say yes, then maybe America is no longer the country for you. I don't know where you're going to go, but this isn't the place for you. I mean this. Leave peacefully. I don't know where you're going to go, but we ended slavery in 1865. Just so you know, I wonder sometimes what kids are being taught in class now. And for that matter, I wonder what adults, especially the adults of like my parents' age, were taught in school about the Civil War, about what the Confederate flag means. I mean, seriously, it bothers me, it worries me, because I don't think you were taught the truth or taught the real facts. Racism is taught. So who taught you racism? Because that's what the Confederate flag stands for. It stands for hate, and it stands for racism. You know, I used to have that little Dukes of Hazzard car, and at some point along the way, I just got rid of it. I woke up to the reality of what it stood for. I'm pretty sure it was middle school when I stopped wanting it around. My parents should have been observant. They really should have. Because they lost me a long time ago. They lost me to their culture. They lost me to their beliefs. They lost me to their religion. And my mother even says, I have her on tape saying I'm a good person. She knows it. And I have actually gotten to the point in my life where I actually told both my parents, I'm a better person than you are. You may not want to admit it. You may not believe it, but I am. So take down your Confederate flags or get out. And this is Cognition. Use your head for good, please.